So I'm going to try to show you how to use the library part editor to create custom library parts. There'll be a couple other videos where I show you variations on this, but in this case I've set up a schematic and I've looked for a part. I'm looking for this part, this thing called a light to frequency sensor. I have the data sheet. I know what it looks like. I see the pinout. I want to make a part for it. This is not in the EagleCAD libraries, so it's a good contender for this. What I need from the data sheet are two things. I need what it looks like in the schematic. So if I move down here, that's what it's going to look like. It's pretty simple. It's a 3-pin part. It has power, ground, and an output, and its name. So this is the schematic version, or what EagleCAD calls the symbol of the object. And then I need to have its mechanical dimensions. And so this is what it would look like. These are the sizes. Everything here is in millimeters. So I'm concerned about the pin-to-pin spacing, and this one is 2 millimeters across from here to here. But if you do the math, you find out that's 80 mils, which is a non-standard spacing, but we're just going to make it 100 mils. Whoever solders this in will have to bend the leads just a little bit to make it work. Maybe sometime in the future we can work on this non-standard spacing. But I'm going to need 3 pins, 100 mils apart, in a straight line. I'm going to make the shape of the PC board footprint include this little bump here, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're creating this part from scratch. I'm going to minimize this. I want to get out of the schematic editor temporarily and go into the control panel. And in my project folder, I am going to, nope, not that one. I'm going to create a new library. This is just one way to do it, but I want to get to where I can use this part pretty quickly, so I want to put it in that project library and keep it there. Again, in the future I'll give you a little video on how the directories are structured and maybe where a better place to put it is. But for now, we need to create a device, the footprint, that's the part that goes on the PC board, and the symbol. I'm actually going to start with the footprint, and so I can either go here and add a footprint, or I can click down here on the bottom. I'm going to click here, just give it a name. This will be the TSL237, and I'm just going to put FP to distinguish it. Ask me if I want to create it. Sure. And so now it's brought me to this editor, and this is where I'm going to put the pads that are part of the PC board layout. I've got my editing tools here, and the important one is this thing called pad, and it wants to place a pad there. Notice my grid is the standard grid, 50 mils per box. I'm going to make this a little bigger, and there's a little target here in the middle at 0, 0. I'm going to start there. Makes life easier later. I can set the dimensions of the drill hole size and the diameter or shape of this thing. I'd have to go back to the data sheet to see that this is a pretty small thing. This is about half a mil, which is half a millimeter, which is 20 mils, and the other dimension is about the same, a little less. So we have a square post here. We're going to have to make a drill hole of something on the order of 30 mils to make this work. And so let me come back here. Notice this drill is too small. So I'm going to make this bigger. Maybe, I don't know, I'll pick that one. And I'm going to set the outer diameter to something decent. so I can solder it. Maybe that. And I can just place this. So my target is right there. That's the 0, 0 position. I'm going to go ahead and place this as pin 1, but then I'm going to show you it's not quite right. So there it is. And I can place more. I'll go ahead and do it. I'm going to change this one to a round, another round, and it looks like I'm good except for one thing. So when I look at the properties of this, I find that it has an odd name for the pad. It has this $$1. I just want to make this a 1. I could come in here and change it as shown by just deleting that, but then I'd have to do that for the others. So I'm going to get out of this and delete these 3 and do it a different way, which is going to be much handier when we get to bigger packages. I'm going to go through the same exercise, bring up the square, but I'm going to type in the command bar here the number 1. And if I hit enter, it now assigns that as the pin number. So I have that one. I'm going to go ahead and place the other 2, changing these to different shapes. And then when I get out of this, I can view the properties and show that they're correct. Okay, and the shape is and everything is there. If I made a mistake on the shape, I can change them individually if I want. But another way to show these properties quickly is to use the show button, and when I click and then look down here in the corner, I can see the name and the name. There's also a way to turn this on so it's visible all the time, and I forgot how to do that, so we're just doing this the manual way. Anyway, that gives me 3 pads. They're numbered 1, 2, 3 to match the data sheet. I'm going to place a picture around it to make it more complete. So I'm going to place a wire and kind of draw it around it like this. Makes it more interesting. And then I'm hitting escape, or I could hit this stop sign. There's also an arcy tool here. So right here's the arc. And you got to play with this a little bit. If you click on that, you can kind of create an arc that you want. And so I'm just creating a little dome symbol, or a dome perspective that the datasheet has. The other thing I can do is give it a name. And if you use the special naming code greater than NAMA, oops, spell it right. This will actually be a placeholder that'll let the name come in from the outside. So I can like place this here, and later on when the user types the name, it'll just get put there. So that's the whole shape. I'm hitting escape to get out of the text tool. I'm going to save this. It's going to go in my light sensor project. I'm going to give it a brilliant title like LS parts. And I'm going to stop it there. And it put it in for me right here. So if I click on it, I see it. I need to build a symbol next, so I'm going to come down to the bottom and hit add symbol. This will be the TSL237 symbol. When I create it, yep. And again, we have our standard dimensions, but this time you're going to build that box that was in the schematic. Real simple. Oops, I missed it. Right there. We're going to build this. 3 parts, 3 outputs, or 3 pins, and then the name. So let's go back and do that. So we need a box. We can either do it this way, we're just going to do it the straightforward way with the line tool. Again, it's useful to build around this centerpiece, or you can make that the corner of your object. But let's just make it around here. I'm going to come up to here and build it about that wide. And these again are you know, calibrated, and they're actually 1/10 inch. And this is exactly what's going to appear. I mean, hitting the escape key. Oh, so this is what will appear on the schematic, and so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9/10 of an inch high and about an inch wide. That seems like it'd be an okay size on the schematic, about an inch by an inch. And I'm going to put some pins on this. And again, I can you know, use the automatic features. Here's a pin. It's going to give me some options here for the kind of pin I'm going to use and what direction it's going to go. You can also right click and change the direction. It also gives you different standard symbols like a clocking pin or short pin or an offset pin. And it also gives you options to tell the system whether it's a power pin, that would be for VCC or ground, a passive pin like on a resistor, a high impedance input. So these are all options that help in terms of finding errors. But I'm just going to leave this at, well, let's do power. For the first one, this will be VCC. So notice I'm going to rotate this because I want to put it at the top. And I'm placing it because this little green circle is going to be the point of contact to the wires in the schematic. The brown thing doesn't really matter. Notice how it named it, that $1 again, and I don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to back this off by hitting Control Z and think about this a little more, because what I really want are numbers, pin numbers, or names. And what I want on the inside here really is a name. So this needs to be VCC, and the order in which I place them will be the pin, potentially the pin numbering, but actually that'll be overridden when we do the next part. But the name would be nice here. So I'm going to hit Control Z, and I'm going to type the name up here in the command bar. So quote VCC, or I think it was VDD in the data sheet. And now when I place it, it didn't work. You know why? Because I didn't hit enter. VDD. Quote enter. Now it's locked in, and when I place it, it puts the right name in. So I'm going to come down here and do ground. I got to rotate twice. It's waiting for the name. So I'm going to type single quote GND, single quote enter, and now I can place the pad. And I'm going to rotate this way, and this will be the output signal, and I can call that out, or whatever I want to call it, but I need to give it a name. And when I place it, there it is, out. So this device, or this symbol, now has all the pins on it. I'm actually going to take the time to make this a little smaller. So I'm going to grab this corner, move it up, move this over a little. Actually, if I'm smart, I will grab it right in the middle. And grab this side right in the middle, and then drag these pins in. And it really doesn't matter if you mess up, you can always fix it. The other thing I'm going to do is use this text tool to write the name again. So I'm going to do greater than NAME, and if there was resistors involved, I would state that too. And I can place this pretty much anywhere. I'm going to put it here for now. We might have to move it because it might intersect later with that. There's also something called the value, which you would have for transistors and resistors, but so we would do that with a greater than value code name, but we're not going to do that right now. So what else can we do? This is about it. We don't really need to show anything about the shape of it. We just need to design what we want in the schematic. So I'm going to save this, and I think it took. And then if I go back here to the table of contents, this thing, I can see I have a symbol and I have a footprint. I could insert somehow a 3D package, but I'm not going to do that. What I want to do is combine the footprint and the symbol together into a device. So I'm going to add a device, and I'm going to type this name again, TSL237, but I'm going to just, that's it, okay? And I could write light sensor if I wanted, but this is fine. I'm going to create it, and it comes up with this screen. And what I need to do is place the symbol in this box, and I do that with the add tool. I'm going to click on the only one I have, say yes. I bring it up, and it looks okay. I'm going to center it over this crosshair. Show you what happens. Unfortunately, just like the other parts, it wants to put its own name in here. So I'm going to back out of this. I'm going to hit Control Z, go through the same process again, select the symbol, but I'm going to make use of this command bar at the top to put in the name I want. So I want $TSL 237 quote, and let's see what it does. So when I place this one, again I forgot to put the hit the enter key. So I'm going to place it, quote, TSL 237, end quote, enter. Now when I place it, it puts the right part name there. So now I can escape out of this, and I have the right part name, and I'll move on. I want to place the symbol or the footprint over here, and to do that I'm going to add from the local thing our new symbol. Only one, so I'm going to say yes. It puts it there, and I'm halfway there, or most of the way there. Now what I've got to do is connect the dots. And so I use this connect tool, and I can see it has all the names of the pins from the schematic side and the pad names, and I can hit this button to connect them. But if I think about it a little bit, not that button, this button, connect, 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 is that actually right? Is that what our data sheet says? So let's bring up the data sheet, and the data sheet says it's actually ground, VDD, and then V out. We have a problem. So I'm going to disconnect the last two, and I'm going to switch this so that V out connects to pin 3. Hit the connect button, and then VDD will connect to pin 2. And now we're happy. They're actually in the right connection sequence. We're going to say OK. There's no more little exclamation point there. That tells us we're on the right track. At least we have 3 pins connected to 3 pads. I'm going to save this, and I'm pretty much done here for the moment. There's also a description you can put in. Let's actually I can do it this way, I think. If you put it, well, I'll just put it here and let's see what happens. So this is a TAOS light to frequency sensor. Did I spell that right? Yes, TAOS. And so I'm going to say OK. That puts that there. This is more complete. I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to go to my schematic, because my schematic has to be told that I need this library. So I go up here to library, and there's something called the library manager, and it tells you the libraries that are in your design already. It's going to come up with a list. There's nothing in there because we haven't used anything. These are the ones that are in line to be used, but we also have a list of available ones, and these are pretty much the same, but I guess they're newer versions. We don't care. I want to go browse for my library, and if I go to the right place, and that would be the Documents, Eagle, Projects, Light Sensor folder, I will find my part library. So I'm going to click on that, and believe it or not, it just did something. I'm going to go down to the L's and find if it's here, and it's not here. Well, let's go see if it already put it in there for us. I come down to the L's. Oh, there it is. It already moved it over. So if I can't see what's in there, but these are the ones that are going to get used in our design. I'm going to say OK. I want it in there, and now when I go and get parts for my design, and I go to the L's, there's the library, and there's the part, and there's the description, and it's just like we designed it. So I'm going to say OK, and place this part in my schematic, and again we have it making decisions for us by putting that name there. We can change it after the fact. I could just Control Z and go get the part again, and this time type the name at the top. And hit enter, and then there it is again. So we have it in our schematic. I'm going to escape out of this, and I could save it, but I'm just going to switch to the board file, and if I look down here at the corner, there it is. There's my part with the name already attached where the word name used to be, and looks good. So there's my grab bar. So and you can see that the pins are in the correct order: ground, VDD, and out. That's what we wanted to have happen. I can go back to my schematic, add resistors, wire them up. Everything will work properly now. Notice I could have placed the name a little further over. I could have spaced this out a little more. I can go back and still do that in the original library. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go back into the library editor and fix this. And to do that, I have to go to the symbol part. I want to fix the symbol. It's already highlighted. There it is. Maybe the simplest thing to do here is move the bottom piece one, move that pin one, and now everything is more evenly spread out. I'm just going to save that, and then I can go back and see that it updated here in the device thing. See, it looks right now, so it's been changed. We haven't lost the pin connections. I'm going to minimize this, come back in here, and I still have the old part here. So EagleCAD keeps a copy of the old part in each schematic unless you update it. So if I update all the libraries, notice what just happened. It pulled the new version of this part in, and it wasn't hard at all to do that. I could go back and move this naming tool over, and it would be updated and eventually do a better job of representing the part. So that's how you do it. That's how you create a part from scratch. I'm going to create a couple more videos on how you do bigger ICs and kind of group the names together for the leads, and then I'll probably do a simpler one of this. But it's really the same process over and over again. You have to think about what the device wants to look like. When you're done, it's got to have a schematic symbol portion. It's got to have the PC board footprint. You create those by creating the footprint, creating the symbol, start a device, put the things in it, and connect them up so they match. Give it a try.